Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our moderators for today's Senatorial Forum. CNN Philippines Chief Anchor and Correspondent, Pia Ontiveros, and CNN Philippines Senior Anchor and Correspondent, Pinky Webb.
Hello everyone, and good afternoon.
Welcome to the CNN Philippines Senatorial Forum.
Over the next hour and a half, you will be meeting 8 senatorial candidates. We're going to ask them some questions. We're going to find out what their plans, policies, and positions are on the most important issues facing our country today.
This is the first in a series of forums that CNN Philippines is hosting in the lead-up to next year's midterm elections.
May 13th is Decision Day. The Filipino votes in next year's midterm elections. And it's time to get to know your candidates. Scrutinize their background, their personal qualities, their track record, and their qualifications to decide why they should be elected to public office. Thousands of candidates, but only 12 Senate seats are up for grabs. We'll ask your future senators the hard questions. Who deserves to win? Who's qualified to serve in the 18th Congress of the Philippines? This is a CNN Philippines special presentation.
Let's meet your senatorial candidates. We will be calling them on stage in alphabetical order. Magdalo Representative and Liberal Party candidate, Gary Alejano. Senator Bam Aquino, who is seeking a second term also under the Liberal Party. Former Philippine National Police Chief and Bureau of Corrections Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who is running under the Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan. Human rights lawyer Chel Diokno, another candidate of the Liberal Party.
Next up, Senator J.V. Ejercito is also seeking a second term in the Senate and running under the Nationalist People's Coalition. Hoping to make a Senate comeback is Juan Ponce Enrile, who's running under the puwersa ng Masang Pilipino. And we have another former senator, Serge Osmeña, also an independent candidate. And last but not the least, presidential political advisor, Francis Tolentino. He's running under the administration's PDP Laban.
Welcome, candidates. Please have a seat. We've been asked about the selection process for today's forum. We have invited as many senatorial candidates as possible, and these are the candidates, the 8 today, who have agreed. We were also asked Where are the women? Well, we did invite them also. Senators Grace Poe, Nancy Binay, Cynthia Villar. We also invited Representative Pia Cayetano and Governor Amy Marcos. Unfortunately, they are not available today. But we hope to see them in our next forum or possibly even in a debate. But today is not a debate. We are not pitting you against each other. There will be no rebuttals today. You are also not allowed to challenge or ask another candidate a question.
So this will be a panel discussion, and we are here to ask you questions on issues that matter most to every Filipino. We have compiled questions from social media. We also have questions from our live audience.
We'd like to explain some additional guidelines. While this is not a debate, we want to limit the amount of time that you spend answering a question. When we ask a general question, it means all of you will answer. You will be given 1 minute and 30 seconds. We will do this in alphabetical order, so we will begin with Congressman Alejano. For the second general question, we will start with Francis Tolentino and have candidates sitting to his right, or no. From here, from Congressman Gary Alejano, to answer one at a time. There will be questions addressed to specific candidates. Each one will be given 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now and again, we will or may have a follow-up question, and we hope you can keep your answers short. Please try to answer within 30 to 60 seconds.
And to be sure, we have a timing device that's in front of you to serve as a guide. Again, the time limit will allow us to cover more ground and give equal opportunity to everyone here. And much like our vice presidential debate in 2016, we'll ask you questions answerable by yes or no. So candidates, please look to your left on the table. There is a signboard. Gentlemen, one side, yes. Secretary Toledo, yes, is green.
And of course, red means?
Red is?
No.
No.
So later on, ng signboard mamaya, ha, yung the one to your left. Okay?
So mamaya, gagamitin natin yan. So, you are watching CNN Philippines special presentation. We are live on free-to-air, Channel 9, and on cable, as well as live streaming on cnnphilippines.com and Facebook. Join our conversation online on our Facebook Live or on Twitter using the hashtag The Filipino Votes.
We'd like to thank the University of the Philippines for hosting our senatorial forum. Maraming salamat po, UP. Our first question is a general question. Candidates, this will serve as your opening statement. The question is, what have you done to serve the Filipino people? Let's start with Congressman Alejano.
Well, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ako po ay dating sundalo na nakipagyera sa ating kalaban sa Estado. Tayo po ay muntik nang namatay. Nagbabago lamang ang ating larangan ng digmaan noon kalaban sa Estado dahil sa ating desire na magkaroon ng pagbabago. Tayo po ay nagprotesta sa gobyerno. And dahil dyan, ay nagnais po tayong makaimpluwensya ng pulisiya sa ating gobyerno, kaya nga sumali tayo sa politika. But it went through a great debate dahil alam ho natin parang kakainin tayo ng sistema sa perception ng mga Pilipino ay marumito. Pero dahil naniniwala tayo sa pinaglalaban, kami po ay sumali. At naniniwala ho kami, consistent ang magdalo mula noon hanggang ngayon sa pagtayo laban sa korupsyon. At makikita rin yan na itong ang politika ay isang avenue for us to advocate of what we're fighting for. At makikita yan sa aming performance. We have been consistent, top performers sa Kongreso, and wala ho tayong bahid ng korupsyon. Kaya nga ang taong bayan makakaasa na ibibigay namin ang tamang serbisyo dahil wala ho kaming pinagkakautangan ni isang tao, kundi ang taong bayan, kaya marapat lamang na ibalik namin sa kanila ang tamang serbisyo.
Senator Bam Aquino.
Unang-una, magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. Good evening, everyone. Alam niyo po, ako po ang pangarap ko po isang bayang umuunlad na wala pong naiiwan. Totoo po, magandang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas for the past 6 or 7 years, pero totoo rin naman po, hindi umaabot ang yaman na to sa mga mahihirap nating kababayan. Ang kailangan po nila, mga reforma, mga panukala na magbibigay po ng fighting chance sa kanila. Tulong po sa mga maliliit na negosyante, yung Go Negosyo Act na napasa po natin. Tulong po na magbigay ng libreng kolehiyo sa ating mga kabataan. Ngayon po, kahit kapos makapagtatapos na. Ito po yung hinahanap ng ating taong bayan, tulong, ayuda, suporta para po sa kanilang mga pamilya. At ito rin po yung mga tipo ng batas na gusto po nating ituloy at gusto po nating siguraduhin na magkakaroon po ang ating mga kababayan dito po sa ating minamahal na bansa.
General Bato de la Rosa.
Nung ako po ay pulis, ako ay retiradong pulis na ngayon. Kung ako'y pulis po ay 2 beses po ako inawardan ng Best Police Officer of the Year sa buong bansa, 2 beses, for police operations. Nung ako'y nag-CPNP, nung ako'y nag-lead sa war on drugs, record po yan. We were able to have 1.3 million drug users and drug pushers surrendered to the folds of the law, and karamihan sa kanila ay nagbagong buhay. At meron din tayong nahuli na 130,000 plus na mga drug offenders, at ito lahat ay nakakulong. Hindi po patay ha, nakakulong sila lahat. And during my time, we were able to decrease the crime volume by 49%. Record po yan. Never in the history of the Philippines na bumagsak ang crime volume by 49%. Kaya, yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Attorney Chel Diokno.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Matagal na rin po akong tumutulong sa mga nangangailangan at mga mahihirap sa ating bayan. Bilang isang human rights lawyer, ako po ay naging boses ng mga guro, mga estudyante, mga manggagawa, mga mangingisda, at iba pang sektor ng ating lipunan. Yung bang tinatawag nilang mga nasa laylayan ng ating lipunan. Bilang isang abogado, nakikita ko mismo yung mga problema po ng ating mga kapatid, mga nangangailangan. At yung isang pinakamalaking problema nila ay hindi patas ang hustisya sa atin. Alam naman natin lahat, pag may sala, dapat may parusa. Alam naman natin lahat na ang mahihirap ay dapat may boses sa ating pamahalaan. Pero parang ay hindi naman nangyayari yon. Kaya yung ipinaglalaban ko sa loob ng husgado ay kailangan po siguro ay dalhin ko sa ibang arena. At kaya po ako naririto ngayong gabi. Good evening.
Thank you, Attorney. All right, Senator J.V. Ejercito.
Nagsimula po ako maglingkod sa taong bayan noong 2001 no ako po ay nahalal bilang mayor ng San Juan. At para sa akin, ang pinakabatayan upang ikaw ay tawagin na matagumpay sa iyong paglilingkod ay kung maiangat mo ang antas ng buhay at mapaganda mo ang kalidad ng buhay ng iyong nasasakupan. Taong 2001, kami po ay nasa oposisyon. Ang sabi ko sarili ko, walang tutulong sa amin at wala kaming aasahan. Ngunit sa aming reforma na isinagawa sa San Juan, ay unti-unti namin ay ayos at nagkaroon ng kumpiyansa ang mga negosyante. At dahan-dahan lumaki rin ang aming budget, gumanda ang aming serbisyo. Nung nagkaroon ng tiwala ang ating mga kababayan, ang mga negosyante, nagbigay ng trabaho at hanap buhay. At ito po ang pinagmamalaki ko na bilang lingkod publiko na niangat natin ang taas ng buhay na ating mga kababayan. San Juan has the lowest poverty incidence during my watch. And yan rin po ang nagsilbing dahan na aking po pinagpatuloy nang ako po ay nahalal bilang senador ng ating bansa. Tayo po ay nagtulak ng mga advokasya at ng mga panukala na siyang magpapaganda at magpapaangat ng antas ng buhay ng ating mga kababayan. Ang Universal Healthcare Program po at ang creation ng Department of Human Settlements ay ilalaman sa mga panukala na malapit na pong maisabatas na talagang masasabi po natin na tinapod natin ang pangarap na gusto natin gumanda ang buhay ng ating mga kababayan.
Thank you, sir. Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, you're next, sir.
Ako po naman ay pagsimula nung bata ako, 17 years old, luwapon po ako sa mga Hapon na sumalakay sa ating bansa, naging manananggol, nagtrabaho sa gobyerno bilang sa Department of Finance, Department of Justice, Department of National Defense, naging senador ng 4 na beses na at ngayon po ay bumabalik para tumulong sa bayan.
Thank you, sir. Let's go next to Senator Serge Osmeña.
Ako po ay si Sir Chosmenia. Tumatakbo po ako bilang senador sa 2019. Now, sa ginawa ko sa Senado, marami na ho. 166 laws na pinasa ko sa Senado. At 3 term nakaabot ko sa Senado, 18 years. So, mahirap mag-usap kasi hindi ko naman alam kung anong gusto ninyo marinig. Pero for example, ang pinasa ko doon, yung Magna Carta for Public Social Workers, yung Solo Parents Act, at saka yung para sa ecology, para sa mamamayan, para yung Philippine Clean Air Act, Philippine tawag dito, Clean Water Act, at saka yung isa sa pinaka-importante na bill, yung EPIRA, yung Liberalization of Retail Trade, yung mga iba pa, no? So, marami na ho ako pinasa doon. Pero sa ngayon ho, marami pa tayong problema ngayon tungkol sa inflation. At ako'y ekonomista. So, ako'y magdadala po ng magandang bagay doon po sa debate sa economy. At kung sakali, mahalal mo na ako, malaking tulong ko sa economic problems na ating bansa.
Maraming salamat, Senator Sir Chosmenia. And Secretary Francis Tolentino, sir.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Kagaya po lahat na nagsalita rito, kabilang po ako sa nagtataguyod ng isang mataas na antas sa pamumuhay ng ating mga kababayan. Ako po ay naglingkod bilang mayor ng Tagaytay City. Kabilang po ako sa nagpaunlad ng Tagaytay na pinapasyalan nyo ngayon. Sa Tagaytay po, ako po ay nagtayo ng City College of Tagaytay kung saan nagkaroon ng libreng edukasyon. Ako po ay nagtayo ng ospital ng Tagaytay, libreng ospitalisasyon at pati yung pabahay sa Tagaytay. Bilang MMDA chairman, ang hindi ko po makakalimutan na gawa rito ay yung pagbalangkas ng isang earthquake contingency plan. Kung sakaling lilindol po sa Metro Manila, yun pa rin po ang Biblia ang gagamitin ninyo, gagamitin natin para po tayo ay makabangon. Nakaharap ko na po ang kamatayan sa napakaraming okasyon sa mga kalamidad, Ompong, Yolanda, Bohol earthquake, at yung katatapos na Mayon volcano eruption. I've seen all of this bilang point person, bilang nauna. Pero para sa akin, ang mahalaga po yung mabilis at dagli ang pagbangon ng mga kababayan natin na lalo naghihirap pag mayroong isang kalamidad na nagaganap. Ako po si Francis Tolentino. Ang sinusulong ko pong bagong konsepto ngayon bilang isang environmental lawyer ay yung konsepto ng green justice. Pag meron pong isang kalamidad na may bahagi po ang tao, dapat po may managot. Dapat po may magbayad at dapat po matulungan yung mga naapi. Kagaya po ng mga naririto, bilang mayor ng Tagaytay, sinusulong ko rin po ang pag-aamyanda ng local government code. We have to empower our local government units.
All right, Secretary Francis Tolentino, thank you. To all the gentlemen, thank you. We now go to our specific question. This question goes to the following candidates only. Senator Bam Aquino, Senator J.V. Ejercito, and former Senator Serge Osmeña. The question is, many Filipinos are worried about the high prices of basic goods and commodities. Any measure to curb inflation will also limit the growth of the economy. What specific measures should be taken to address inflation? Senator Bam Aquino, you go first.
Pinky, maraming salamat. As early as May, nag-file na po tayo ng bawas presyo sa petrolyo bill na sinisikap na i-address yung mga naging problema po ng train law. In the end, in the Senate sa train law, 4 lang po kaming bumoto ng no doon po sa panukalang yon na nagtaas ng buwis pagdating po sa ating petroleum products. At alam naman ho natin, kapag tumataas po ang gasolina at diesel, tumataas rin po ang presyo ng bilihin sa merkado. Kaya mahalaga talaga, hindi lang po sa Enero, kung hindi nitong nakaraang 2018, dapat ho talaga tinanggal na yung dagdag buwis sa diesel, gasolina at kerosina. Alam niyo po, nung umiikot ako, Pinky, I go around sa mga konsultahang bayan, ang laging binabanggit ng mga nanay at tatay sa akin, Senator Bam, bakit biglang pagtaas yung presyo ng bilihin ngayon? Yung sardinas po na noon 13 pesos, ngayon 18 pesos na. Iba pa yung problema sa presyo ng bigas. That's a whole other problem on itself. So, ang isa pong pwede natin gawin para ma-address po yung inflation kaagad, i-correct ho natin yung train law. Tanggalin ho natin yung buwis dito po sa diesel at gasolina. Hindi lang po yung parating sa Enero 2019, pati rin po yung parating sa Enero 2020, pati na rin po yung dinagdag na yung 2018. Ito po yung mga nagpapataas sa presyo ng bilihin sa merkado at nararapat lang po na umaksyon ang Senado at Kongreso na bawiin na po ito kaagad, no? Lately, we heard nag-uurong sulong yung Department of Finance pagdating sa suspension this January, no, for the train increase pagdating po sa diesel, gasolina at kerosina. Palagay ko po, it's time for the Senate and the Congress to take the lead, pass the bawas presyo sa petrolyo bill or pass the joint resolution we already filed in the previous month. Ipasa na po yan, bawiin na po itong buwis na nasa train law upang makorek po natin yung batas, no? Alam naman ho natin na yung train, pag nakita ho niyan, pag inaral niyo po yan, yung isang provision po dyan na talagang nakakalala sa ating mga kababayan, yun po itong pagdadagdag ng buwis sa petrolyo. So we hope to correct that. We hope that our fellow senators and congressmen can really show some leadership and really push this law for the benefit of our people. Yung mga jeepney drivers ho, nakausap po namin sa mga konsultahan, sabi ho nila, Senator, kahit 2 piso lang yan, 4 na piso, ang ibig pong sabihin yan kung kakain po kami ng almusal o hindi. So marami ho talagang apektado dito. I'm hoping we can all come together and really push this reform for our people. Salamat po.
So, perfect. Senator J.V. Ejercito, good to answer, Senator Bam Aquino.
So, with regards to train, ibang train po ang aking gusto i-pursue. Being an advocate of transport modernization, infrastructure development, I feel that this is the weakness of our economy. And our economy, we have witnessed how our economy grew, how it improved, but we have never reached its full potential because of this weakness. That's why one of the reasons why I support the Build program or the infrastructure development, because I know that this will spread out the development. There are so many benefits that can be derived once we prioritize infrastructure development. One is it will spread out the development. We will be creating new growth development areas in different different provinces that will mean jobs and opportunities. And likewise, the immediate effect, it will mitigate and soften the impact of inflation because immediately we will be able to hire a lot of workers, thousands of workers, to undertake the massive infrastructure development and construction. And not to mention the multiplier effect brought about by having big ticket items being constructed at the same time. So we will be hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. If we prioritize infrastructure development, we will be able to address the weakness of our economy, and probably we will have a good chance of reaching the full economic potential once we are able to complete all of these necessary infrastructure development projects. So for jobs and opportunities, I would go for infrastructure development, transport modernization. This because this will pave the way to genuine inclusive growth in the future. Thank you.
We'd like to hear from Senator Sergio Osmeña also. Sir.
Opo, our problem today is inflation, and about 3 to 4% of that inflation, of our 6.7% inflation, comes from the price of rice and the price of vegetables, fish, meat, chicken, etc. So what I'm going to do right after the elections, if we win, is to introduce a bill that first will bring down the tariffication of rice from 35% to 20%. Why? Because at 35%, people will be inclined to smuggle rice. And that's a big gap. So we'll bring it down to 20%, so there'll be less incentive to smuggle rice. Now, when you do that, you'll be putting money into 104 million Filipinos' pocket, not into the pocket of the farmers. Now, the farmers are going to suffer. But because of that, we're going to give the farmers all the help that we can give. So we're going to give them free mechanization, we're going to give them free certified seeds, we're going to give them credit, and other things. Now, to do that, we have to lower their cost of production because their cost of production now is too high. They're selling rice at about 15, 17, 20 pesos when it should be about 10 pesos to 12 pesos. So we have to bring that down. Now, the other farmers are not going to be competitive. These are the farmers who are in the marginal rice areas. So what we'll do with them is we'll teach them how to go to other crops. We'll teach them to go to cacao, we'll get to bongo, cassava, etc. And then with that, we will have to bring in the extra rice that we need from abroad. Now, with this tariffication, it's good. The tariffication is good because you can bring in all the rice you want as long as you pay the 35% tariff. But still, I think it's too high because ang papatak dyan, the price of rice will go to about 37 from 40 or 44, which is not good enough. Because if you sell rice at 22 pesos in Thailand, why are we selling rice here at 40 pesos or 37 pesos? So we have to bring it down some more. But to bring it down some more, you have to help the farmers at the same time. So that is my #1 pet project when I get to the Senate.
Let's move on to the war on drugs. This question will be answered by General Bato de la Rosa, Congressman Alejano, and human rights lawyer Chel Diokno. In his third State of the Nation address, President Duterte said he would continue his controversial war against illegal drugs. In July, the Philippine National Police said close to 150,000 people have been arrested and more than 4,300 were killed in anti-drug operations. How would you solve the country's drug problems? General Bato, you first.
Well, ang una-una, gusto kong i-reimpose yung death penalty doon sa mga drug traffickers. Dahil nga, per my experience as Director General of the Bureau of Corrections, kausap ko yung mga Chinese, Taiwanese, Hong Kong nationals, sa mga convicted drug lords sa loob ng Bilibid. And I asked them, why do you insist on trafficking drugs to the Philippines? Ang sagot nila palagi is, your laws here in the Philippines are too easy. You don't have death penalty for drug offenses. At ang tsansa pa, kahit na ang baba ng ating conviction rate sa drug cases, kung sila'y nakonbikto at sila'y nakulong, habang nagsiserve sila ng sentence, instead na makorek sila doon sa loob, lumalaki pa yung kanilang drug empire sa labas kung mahina ang management ng Bureau of Corrections. Kaya sabi ko, let's try. I-reimpose natin itong death penalty. Tingnan natin, barilin natin sa Luneta itong 1, 2, 3, 4 na mga drug lord. Tingnan natin kung maghahakot pa sila ng drugs dito sa Pilipinas. Dahil tayo binabaha ng shabu galing sa ibang bansa, dahil nga very easy yung ating batas. Wala tayong death penalty. Try lang natin na gano'n. Tingnan natin kung magdadala pa sila dito ng shabu. Dahil sa ngayon, I am proud to say, wala na tayong makitang malalaking shabu laboratory dito sa ating bansa dahil nga lahat yun ay nasira natin right at the start of the Duterte administration when we launched the war on drugs. Ang ginagawa nila ngayon, nag-i-import na sila ng shabu coming from other countries. At ang masakla pa, dumadaan pa sa ating Bureau of Customs. Kaya that shows how complicated, how deep, how wide, and gaano kalaki talaga ang problema natin sa illegal na droga. So dapat nga, pagpapatayin talaga itong mga konbiktado na ito. Well, ito, nandoon ako sa loob ng Bilibid. Nakita ko kung gaano sila nabubuhay doon. Lumalaki pa yung kanilang ginagawa. Dapat talaga matapos na. Tapusin na ito dahil kawawa ang kabataang Pilipino. Nasisira, thousands of Filipino people nasisira dahil sa drugs na ito.
Thank you, sir. Congressman Alejano, your turn, please.
Ako ay pabor na talagang limitahan o talagang matapos ang illegal na droga sa Pilipinas. Pero hindi ko ako pabor sa kasalukuyang pamamaraan kung paano inimplement ang war on drugs. Alam nyo kasi kung nilulutas natin ang isang gulo at gulo din ang ating sagot katulad ng patayan, libo-libong patayan, ang resulta nito, ang kakalabasan ay gulo din. Dapat ang ating solusyon dito ay kaayusan. Bilang dating sundalo, naalala ko noon, pag pumunta ka sa isang lugar, ang objective mo ay magdala ng kapayapaan at kaayusan. Alam nyo, sa pulisiya ngayon, na kung saan marinig natin sa administrasyon na patayin, yun nga ang narinig natin. Every almost occasion sa Pilipinas ay patayin. Alam nyo, this is prone to abuse. At nakikita na natin napakarami ng ehemplo dyan na naabuso ito ng ating otoridad. Ngayon po, ang issue dito ay about security ng kada Pilipino. If in the process of implementing the war on drugs, it destroys democratic institutions, it destroys democratic processes, in the long run, lahat tayo mabibiktima kahit hindi ka involved sa droga. In the long run, lahat tayo walang safe kung sira ang ating justice system. Ngayon, tingnan ho natin. For almost 3 years now sa war on drugs, libo-libo na po ang napatay. Anong resulta? Patuloy ang pagbaha ng droga sa Pilipinas. In fact, nagmumura pa ang droga. Hindi ba dapat nauubos na ito? Mga mahihirap, nakatsinelas, ang pinapatay, ang drug lords, hindi natin mahanap. Nasaan sila? Alam niyo, alalahanin niyo rin, ang masaklap dito, ang bulto ng droga ay nagagaling sa China. Alam mo, ang saklap, inaagaw na nga ang teritoryo natin, nilalason pa ang ating mga kabataan. Kaya ang kasagutan ho natin dito, una, ang kahirapan. Sagutin ho natin yan dahil yan ang nagresulta ng criminality. Ang pangalawa, aayusin ho natin dapat ang criminal justice system sa Pilipinas.
Maraming salamat kay Congressman Alejano. And next, Attorney Chel No, you're next, sir.
Ang problema sa war on drugs, mas malala pa yung gamot sa sakit. Diba? Wala naman shortcut ang hustisya. Wala naman shortcut sa paglalaban natin sa krimen at korupsyon. Ano ba talaga ang problema? Bakit laganap yung krimen at korupsyon na yan? Dahil baluktot at mahina ang ating sistema ng hustisya. Kung gusto natin ng isang tama at pangmatagalan na solusyon sa issue ng krimen, droga, korupsyon, walang iba kung hindi ayusin natin yung baluktot na sistema ng hustisya. Bakit ko sinasabing baluktot ang sistema natin ng hustisya? Unang-una, napakabagal ng paglilitis ng kaso sa atin. Usad pagong ang kaso sa atin. Pangalawa, kung ikaw ay mayaman, kaya mo magbayad ng magagaling na abogado de kampanilya, ay baka bukas na bukas ay makakalaya na kayo. Pero kung nasampahan ng kaso ay isang mahirap, dehadong-dehado siya. Bakit napakabagal ng paglilitis ng kaso sa atin? Kulang na kulang tayo ng wes, kulang na kulang tayo ng prosecutor. Walang ibang dahilan kundi yan. So kung gusto natin maayos ang ating sistema ng hustisya, kailangan punuin natin ng magagaling at matitino na abogado ang ating hudikatura at pati ang ating prosecution service. Pero hindi lang yon. Alam nyo, sobra ang politika sa pagpipili ng ating mga wes at ating mga prosecutor. Matagal na po akong abogado. Noong 2001, ako ay General Counsel ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. Noong panahon na yon, may lumalapit na sa akin, ang abogado galing probinsya. Sabi nila, tulungan mo naman ako. Sabi ko, bakit? Kailangan ko ng backer. Ba't mo kailangan ng backer? Kasi gusto ko magpa-appoint sa judiciary. Hanggang ngayon po, ganun pa rin. Kailangan mawala ang politika sa pagpipili ng ating mga wes at ating mga prosecutor para matino at maganda ang ating katarungan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Attorney Chel Diokno. Now, it's time for a yes or no question. Again, you need to pick up the signboard on your left. That's it. Candidates, the question is coming from our audience on social media. Do you support reimposing the death penalty for drug-related crimes? Yes or no?
Tatlo lang ang yes. Ay, nasira po.
General Bato.
General Bato, ano po talaga ang sagot? Yes. Okay, tatlo lang ang yes. Of course, si General Bato, nasabi niyo na po yan kanina. Senator JPE and Francis Tolentino. Everyone else, no. When we return, we'll be asking questions on political dynasties and the recent visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Join the conversation online, on our Facebook Live, or on Twitter using the hashtag the Filipino Votes. This is a CNN Philippines special presentation, the Filipino Votes Senatorial Forum. Of senatorial forums that we will be hosting in the lead-up to midterm elections on May 13.
We are live on free-to-air on Channel 9 and on cable, as well as live streaming on cnnphilippines.com and our Facebook page.
We have another question, answerable by a yes or no. Please, candidates, your signboards. General Bato, okay
Please
na po yung
be careful,
signboard nyo.
sir.
Feel na feel kasi yung sagot. The question is, the Constitution states that the public should be informed in case of serious illness of the President of the Philippines. Should the President authorize the issuance of medical bulletins about his health? Yes or no? Everybody, General Bato, kanino po kayo tumitingin?
Kay Secretary Tolentino.
Yes na yes na yes. Ang daming yes, lahat po. Yes.
Yeah, everyone said yes. Siguro, gusto ko lang tanungin natin si General Bato, ba't siya nakatingin kay Secretary Francis?
Sir, pakisagot in 5 seconds.
Tinan ko mga kakampi ko kung anong sagot nila. Kampi ko si Francis Tolentino, tsaka si JB Ercito. Magkakampi ko yan eh.
Okay, sige.
In unison.
Para pare-pareho sila.
United we
Tama
stand.
naman. Divided.
Divided we fall.
Okay, next question, please.
Okay, our next question is about political dynasties, and we'd like to ask Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. This is a specific question. Senator Juan Ponce Enrile and, of course, Presidential Advisor Francis Tolentino. Critics say political dynasties weaken democracy. Those who support this practice say people have the right to vote.
You know, this problem of political dynasty should be addressed to the electorate. We are a democracy. If brothers and sisters or parents and children are capable to serve the people, why deny their service to those people? Let the electorate determine who should be their leaders and who should not be. We cannot legislate that. We cannot even put it in the Constitution. That's my position.
Even if, Senator, there is that provision?
Beg your pardon?
Even if there is that provision? A provision, sir, in the Constitution for that.
The provision in the Constitution is that cannot be implemented because it's impractical.
It is because it is
You know, if you are
impractical.
a democracy, it is the function of the people to select the people that will govern them or lead them. And how can you tell the people that they do not want to vote for this family or that family? Let them decide who should lead them in their respective localities or provinces or in the nation for that matter.
All right, sir. Let's ask former Presidential Advisor Francis Tolentino, sir.
Primordial in the Constitution is the precept that sovereignty resides in the people. As what Senator Enrile said, let the people decide. Within the next few days, I was watching CNN inside the holding room. Within the next few days, you will hear the memorial of former U.S. President George Walker Bush. That's also considered as a political dynasty in the United States. The family that restored the prestige of the military forces of the United States was a product of Bush I and Bush II. So I think the people will have to decide kung payag ba kayo na ito yung magme-mayor nyo, payag ba kayo, ito yung vice mayor nyo, gobernador ninyo, let the people decide. Marami pong political dynasties sa Pilipinas na maganda naman po ang ginagawa.
Alright, our next question. Nabanggit na po kanina ang China at West Philippine Sea. This question is related to the recent state visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping. This question is for Congressman Alejano and former Senators Osmeña and Enrile. Should the Philippines partner with China and conduct joint oil and gas exploration in the West Philippine Sea? Congressman Alejano.
Well, I don't agree that we should have a joint exploration with China. Let us all remember that whatever relationship we have with China right now, whether political or economic, lahat ito ay may connection sa West Philippine Sea because they're using this strategy on pushing us to the edge in order for us to agree with what they want. So pag tayo ay sinasabing hindi natin kayang i-defend ang ating sarili, mahina tayo, and therefore we should agree with friendly relation, tourism, investment, pautang. Pag pumasok ko tayo dito, this is a trap. Pag napatibong na tayo dyan, gaya na nangyari sa ibang bansa, nalubog sila sa utang, pagdating ng panahon, they cannot assert their sovereignty. Example po, sa Sri Lanka, ang kanilang mga proyekto na malalaki na sana magbibigay ng malaking economic development sa Sri Lanka, pagdating ng panahon ay hindi bumagsak sa kamay nila, kundi sa kamay ng Chinese. Dahil nabaon sila sa utang. Ang isang example ay sa bansang Tajikistan. Nagkaroon sila ng conflict sa border, sabi ng China, huwag na tayong mag-away, tutulungan ka namin. But at the end of the day, 80% ng external debt niya ay galing sa China at nagkaroon ng negotiation dahil ang relationship na ginagawa ng China ay bilateral and confidential. That means walang nakikialam na iba and by case-to-case basis pag hindi ka makabayad. So at the end of the day, binayad ng Tajikistan ay 1,154 square kilometers of its territory, disputed territory. So it will happen also to the Philippines, na tayo papasukin muna, na kaibigan tayo, pautangin tayo, pagdating ng araw di natin kayang bayaran ng ating utang, pwedeng West Philippine Sea ang pangbayad sa ating bansa. Kaya nga, marami pang sources na pwede tayong pagkautangan. Dahil maliwanag na may conflict of interest ang relationship natin sa China. I am not saying we don't talk to China. By all means, we should talk to China. But let us all remember that this is part of the bigger strategic objective of China to pull the Philippines within its influence and for China to become the global dominant power. Hindi po isolated na Pilipinas. They will not change the strategy for the sake of the Philippines. Kaya nga, meron silang influence on our policies, economy, and culture. So, I don't agree na papasok ko tayo dyan dahil yan ay maliwanag na patibong.
Okay, next, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, you're next, sir.
What's the difference between allowing Shell to enter into a contract for the exploration of oil and natural gas in West Philippine Sea against China doing it for us? It all depends upon the terms and conditions of the agreement that we can work out with China. Second, China is a reality for us. We cannot ignore it. Our geography tells us that we cannot transfer our land somewhere else so that we can ignore the presence of China in our region. So we have only two options on this matter. Either we use diplomacy, talk to China, or we use force. What force do we have to deal with China? We do not have. The only option available to us is to talk to China, since they are willing to talk to us, and then we talk about the terms and conditions of the exploration of natural gas and oil in the West Philippine Sea for the benefit of the Filipino people, instead of using emotion or braggadocio or whatever, or politics in order to thwart a possible beneficial good that will come to the Filipino people through an exploration of natural wealth in the South China Sea. That's my position.
Thank you, sir. Senator Serge Osmeña.
I agree that we should go into a co-exploration agreement with China, but the split there should be 60-40 in our favor because we own the land. So if it is 60-40 in our favor, let's do it. We'll go into a co-exploration with China. Now, there's another thing that I'm bothered about. China has a seismic ship. We do not have a seismic ship. So if that seismic ship is Chinese and the letters are all Chinese, hindi nila sasabihin sa atin kung ano nangyayari. So we have to use a seismic ship from a third country, like England, Australia, or the United States, so that they will be able to tell us what they found. But if China agrees to 60-40, by all means, let's do it. No problem.
All right, thank you, Senator. All right, our next question is this. We are seeing a spike in the entry of Chinese workers in the country. The Labor Department says they issued alien employment permits to some 50,000 workers a year from 2015 to 2017. In the first 3 months of 2018, more than 21,320 alien employment permits were issued. This question is for Attorney Chel Diokno and Senator Bam Aquino. How do we regulate the entry of these Chinese workers so qualified Filipinos are not denied these new jobs? Attorney Diokno, let's start with you.
Ginagamit po nila yung mga butas sa atin batas para makapasok yung mga dayuhan na trabahador sa atin. It's quite easy, I believe, to fill up those loopholes in the law. You see, they have taken advantage of the visas that are given to tourists and made that as their gateway into our country. Sa akin lang ay, it's very clear, nasa atin sa Ligang Batas yan, nasa ating labor code, ang dapat mauna sa pagbibigay ng trabaho ay mga kapatid natin, mga kapwa Pilipino. Kung ano man ang kailangan para maayos natin yung mga butas na yan at nagsagawa naman ng ating Senado ng isang investigasyon, mukhang alam na natin kung ano yung problema, palagay ko ay madali nang ayusin yan basta't meron tayong political will at wag na naman natin buksan ang pinto sa iba at isesara natin ang pinto sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino.
Senator Bam Aquino.
Dadagdagan ko yung sinabi ni Dean Shell, no? Apart from creating a law to clarify the loopholes, yung problema ho kasi natin sa China, hindi ho talaga malinaw yung polisiya ng ating bansa pagdating po sa China. Hindi ho malinaw yung polisiya natin pagdating sa teritoryo, hindi ho malinaw pagdating sa mga mangingisda natin, hindi ho po malinaw sa mga workers. Hindi ho transparent yung mga proseso. Nangyayari po yung mga deals, di naman ho alam ng taong bayan kung ano ba talaga yung mga deals na ito. Ano ba sa mga build yung natutuloy na? Ang hirap pong alamin, no? Magkano ba yung interest rate ng bawat proyektong yan? Ilang workers na ba talaga yun nandito? Lahat po yan hindi po transparent, hindi ho malinaw sa atin. Now, pag tayo po nakakapanood ng mangingisdang Pilipino, kinukuhanan ng isda ng mga Chinese officers, masakit ho talaga sa puso natin. Kapag yung media natin tinataboy ng mga Chinese naval vessels, masakit ho talaga yan. Siguro naman ho, hindi naman masamang ipangarap na pag dito po tayo sa ating bansa, ang Pilipino po yung nauuna, hindi po yung ibang mga dayuhan ho natin sa ating bansa, no? So ang hinihiling ho natin dito, pagiging malinaw at transparent sa pakikitungo po natin sa China. Wala ho dapat secret deals. Dapat malinaw po yan. Pagdating sa teritoryo, pagdating sa ekonomiya, pagdating po sa ating mga nagtatrabaho, iyan po, kasama ho yan sa mga pangako. Ano po ba yung pangako? Gaganda ekonomiya natin. Gumanda ho ba ito since we pivoted to China? Hindi naman. Dadami yung trabaho. Dumami ba yung trabaho ng mga Pilipino dahil dito? Hindi rin naman. So these are basic questions na kailangan ho nating tanungin. At sana nga po, sabi nga ni Dean Shell, mag-investigate. Sana po yung Senado yung pwedeng manguna sa investigasyon na ito. Magsilbi po kaming totoong representante ng taong bayan, tanungin natin, ang mga deals na ito ay pabor ba sa ating bansa? O dihado ba mismo ang mga Pilipino sa sarili nating bayan? Yan po yung mga tanong na kailangan ho nating tanungin pagdating po sa China. At bilang panghuli, marami ho talaga nag-react during the state visit of President Xi Jinping. Yun po, yung reaction na yun, galing po yan sa isang lugar na hindi na ho natin alam kung itong sarili ho nating bayan, liyamado pa ba sa dealings natin sa China. Siguro naman po, maaasahan natin yung mga leader natin na ipaglaban naman po yung sarili nating bayan.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next, get your signboards ready. We have another yes or no question. The question is, General Bato, you ready? Should medical marijuana be legalized? Yes or no?
Interesting. Ay, General Bato, sure na po kayo. Okay.
Senator Serge, Senator Juan Ponce.
Tatlong
and
yes.
Oo.
Shell Diokno, JV Ejercito, JPE, yes. And Serge Osmeña. No po. Kay Francis Tolentino, Bato, Bam, and Gary.
Maybe we can ask them later why. You're watching a CNN Philippines special presentation. Join our conversation online on our Facebook Live or, of course, on Twitter using the hashtag #TheFilipinoVotes. And ahead on the program, we'll ask questions on corruption and divorce. Welcome back. An estimated 18,000 seats are up for grabs in next year's midterm elections. Dozens are running for senator, but only 12 seats will be contested. And today, we are talking to 8 senatorial candidates.
We are asking them questions on issues that mean a lot to us Filipinos, and traffic, of course, is one of them. This next question will be answered by all the candidates, starting with former presidential advisor Francis Tolentino. Question: our country loses 3.5 billion pesos in lost opportunities every day because of traffic. If this is not addressed, it is expected to increase to as much as 5.4 billion pesos a day by 2035. What would you do as a legislator to solve our crippling traffic problems? Mr. Tolentino.
3 items. 1, we have to pass that National Land Use Plan Act. Kailangan na po ito. Yung traffic nararamdaman ngayon sa Metro Manila will happen in Cagayan de Oro, in Cebu, and other urban growth centers including Tuguegarao in the north. Kailangan maplano po natin ang urbanization because of the density and the sheer volume of people inside an urban center. Pangalawa, kagaya ng sinabi ni Senator JB, it's about time we invest in the railway system. Dito po sa Metro Manila, ang kailangan po natin 382 kilometers of rails. Ang atin pong buong railway system sa buong Pilipinas, 47 kilometers lang po yung gumagana. So we need more LRTs, MRTs, including that subway. Pero yung proposed subway, 14 kilometers lang yon. Kulang pa. We need to disperse Metro Manila. Ang proposal ko noon, build a new administrative center, and they're now building a new one in Clarkfield. Pangatlo, we really have to plan our cities, our growth areas. Yung traffic po, hindi po mariresolve overnight yan. It's been there ever since. Ang atin pong kalye, comparable po tayo sa Seoul, South Korea. South Korea has more than 3,000 kilometers of road network within Seoul alone. Sa Metro Manila po, 1,005 lamang ang kilometrahe natin sa Metro Manila. Pero ang volume ng sasakyan natin halos 2 milyon na.
Senator Serge Osmeña.
Yes, I agree with that, and I agree also that we must, for example, yung sa Metro Manila lang, hindi konektado ang ating mga roads because we have too many, what you call this, for lack of a better term, protected environments like the Forest Park.
Gated subdivisions.
Hindi pwede ganun because this blocks the way to other roads. So we can only go to Quezon City by going through either España or EDSA or C5. That's all. And we cannot do that we have to open up all the roads so that we can go through any of the roads so that when there's blockage on one, like for example, EDSA, pwede tayo dumaan sa Mandaluyong or sa Shaw Boulevard. So we have to really redo this whole thing so that we can open up at least part of the gated communities. Part of the gated, not all of the gated, but part of the gated communities will have to be opened up.
Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, you're next, sir.
Oh, the problem of Manila is it's too congested. No? All developments are being done in the core territory of the Philippines, which is dangerous from a security viewpoint and many other things. What we should do is decongest Metro Manila. How? Create economic centers outside of the a radius of 100 kilometers from the center of the city to pull out employment of our core territory, and then create throughways outside cities across the land, over Metro Manila, add more throughways overhead, and widen the roads for entry and exit of Manila, and your housing system should be dispersed within that radius that I mentioned, and create a system of transportation to transport the people to and fro from their homes to their place of work, as you are designing the dispersal of economic activities outside Metro Manila. We are too congested here. You can no longer solve that problem unless you do a decongestion program.
Thank you, sir. Senator J.V. Ejercito.
Yes, aside from 3.5 billion pesos that we lose every day because of traffic congestion, we have about 30,000 new vehicles added to our streets every month. So that translates to about 1 million new vehicles that will be added to the streets, and 40% of that is in Metro Mega Manila area. I would still push for the railway system, massive infrastructure, because I believe that railway is the only way. Because with the 30,000 new vehicles added to our streets, in 5 years' time, if you do not move, we will have a gridlock. So we should have started the massive infrastructure, the railway system, 30 years ago. And we are 30 years behind in terms of infrastructure development. I believe that if we are able to lay down the tracks from the PNR going all the way to north, to La Union, and Ilocandia, and all the way to south, in Bicol and the Mindanao railway system, all the railway stations, all the provinces that will have railway station will be a potential growth development areas. And that is the only way that we can decongest Manila. We will create new growth development areas. That means jobs and opportunities will also be available in the countrysides. So we will already have jobs, we will have development, and we will also improve the quality of life by decongesting the nerve centers. Thank you.
Dean Chel Diokno.
Ang dapat mabigyan ng prioridad ng ating pamahalaan ay yung mga sumasakay ng bus at jeep sa atin, hindi yung mga nakasakay sa mga magagarang kotse. Ang nagiging problema ngayon ay magpagising natin na maaga, papasok tayo ng ating trabaho, gising na alas 4, trabaho, makakauwi na tayo alas 8, alas 9 na ng gabi. Subsub na nga tayo sa trabaho, bugbog pa sa trapiko. Hindi naman dapat ganon. In other countries, they are already thinking about establishing carless cities, where we travel inside our cities by bicycle, on foot, that provides clean air, that makes us healthier. Palagay ko, panahon na rin na pag-isipan natin yan. Dahil sobra-sobra na nga mga sasakyan sa atin, ang dala-dala pa nila ay pollution, ay hindi naman maganda yon. We have to approach this from a different angle. We have to look at this as a problem of moving people, not moving vehicles.
General Bato de la Rosa.
Nasabi na lahat yung gusto kong sabihin eh. Wala na akong masabi. Yung lahat na sinabi nila, traffic management, 3 component yan, 3 E's. Enforcement, education, and engineering. Lahat ng sinabi nila is all about engineering. Ako nga, dito ako sa enforcement. Gusto ko sanang gayahin yung ginagawa ng Hong Kong about traffic enforcement, wherein yung isang driver ay binibigyan lang ng 15 points na consumable within 2 years. Yung 15 points na yan, kapag ikaw ay nag-violate ng traffic law, like for example, overspeeding, mamainusan ng 3 points yan. Driving under the influence of liquor, 6 points. Hanggang maubos mo yung 15 points na yan na allowable sa'yo, consumable mo within 2 years, bago matapos yung 2 years, pag naubos mo na yan, you have to undergo seminar sa LTO para continuous yung education mo. Now, kung hindi mo na yan makonsume within 2 years, sa next 2 years na naman, babalik yung 15 points na allowable mo. Kaya makita mo sa Hong Kong, walang ka-traffic-traffic, kahit na Hong Kong is considered to be one of the densely populated cities in the world. Thank you.
Senator Bam Aquino.
Yung problema po ng trapiko talagang malaking problema po para sa atin dito sa NCR. Nagiging problema na rin po ito sa Cebu, sa Cagayan de Oro, sa iba't ibang mga growing cities po natin. Unang-una po sa lahat, hindi po ako mambobola. Hindi talaga yan maaayos ng 3 to 6 months. Hindi talaga. It will take years. It will take years. Pero tama po lahat ng sinabi ng mga kasama po natin. Focus on mass transport, infrastructure, development, proper enforcement. Marami ho talagang kailangan gawin. At this point, nasa punto na po tayo na palagay ko, alam na natin kung ano yung kailangan gawin eh. Hindi na po ito guesswork, no? Napag-aralan na po ito. Kailangan na ho talagang ma-implement. At kailangan po, handa yung taong bayan na sa Bayan po, itong mga proyektong to, siguraduhin walang korupsyon, mapunta talaga yung infrastructure sa tamang lugar, wala pong patong, wala pong mga kickback po dyan. And we hope na mabantayan po ng taong bayan yung bawat isang proyekto na gagawin upang masolve po yung traffic sa ating bansa. Salamat po.
Congressman Alejano?
Economic activities attract people. So kung saan mayroong economic activities, nandoon sila, sumusunod ang tao. So ang natural magnet na yan ay dapat ilipat natin, susunod ang tao. And we should believe now, and as stated by my colleagues here, na hindi ito overnight na problema. This is a long-term problem. Ang isang solusyon, nabanggit na rin kanina, I propose that we transfer the seat of government outside of Metro Manila. Naka-file po na kami ng bill dyan last Congress and even in the present Congress because government transactions alone dito sa NCR, napakarami na po. Mga empleyado, may sasakyan, yung ahensya ng gobyerno, may mga sasakyan, at na-attract yung mag-transact dito sa outside of NCR, talagang traffic. So we have to move our seat of government outside of NCR. But of course, we should develop economic hubs para ma-disperse ang economic opportunities sa ating bayan. And right now, sa tingin ko po, hindi na po practical yung airport dito. Ilipat mo sa labas ang airport. And also, yung seaport natin, imagine nyo po, pila yung container vans dito na hindi naman pangangailangan ng Metro Manila. Doon binibigay sa iba, so hindi na dapat dumaan sa NCR. We develop other ports aside from Batangas, somewhere north, dapat meron dyan. No? Of course, we need mass transport system pa rin. No? And we need urban development plan.
All right, thank you. The next question, we'd like to hear from the two incumbent senators, Senator J.V. Ejercito and Senator Bam Aquino. Nasabi na to kanina, the country's economic managers reversed their earlier recommendation to suspend the second round of the excise tax hike on fuel next year. Senator Bam, sabi mo, parang urong sulong. Your thoughts on this? Senator Bam, we'll start with you.
Well, nabanggit ko na rin po ito kanina, no? As early as May of this year, nag-file na po tayo ng panukala na magsisikap na tanggalin yung buwis sa petrolyo. As alam naman ho natin, kapag tinaas nyo po yung petrolyo, sinabayan mo yung pagtaas sa mundo, tinutulak po niyang pataas yung presyo ng bilihin. So we're hoping po na hindi lang po itong Enero na pagtaas yung isuspend. Ang gusto ho natin, January 2019, January 2020, pati rin po yung dinagdag ngayong 2018, dapat na pong tanggalin. Now, marami yung nagsasabi, Senator Bam, piso lang naman, 2 piso lang naman yan. Pero yung 2 pisong pong yun, ang laking bagay po niyan sa mga kapatid natin sa transport sector, sa mga kapatid po nating vendors, nagbebenta po ng pagkain, malaking epekto po talaga to sa kanila. At nararapat lang po na kung ayaw ho itong gawin ng DOF, sana po yung Senado at Kongreso, magpakita naman po ng konting leadership at itulak po talaga natin itong pagsuspindi ng buwis dito po sa petrolyo. Pinagdebatihan na po ito many times. Napakaraming hearing na po sa Senado. And more or less, yung mga eksperto mula sa iba't ibang mga panig nagsabi nga na kapag tumaas yung presyo ng petrolyo, diesel and gasoline, makikita ho natin may epekto ito dun po sa presyo ng bilihin. Gusto po nilang isuspend yung pagtaas, hindi pa naman bumababa yung presyo ng bilihin. Pagpunta nyo po sa palengke, pagpunta nyo po sa merkado, makikita ninyo, ganun pa rin naman yung presyo. Hindi pa nararamdaman ng tao yung pagbaba nitong presyo ng bilihin. Bakit nating itutuloy ito pong excise tax na to? Now, at this point, alam ko po, recommendation po yan sa Malacanang. We're hoping na hindi po sundan ng Presidente ang recommendation na ito. We're hoping po na sa kaduluduluan ng lahat, ang magiging desisyon po niya, huwag ituloy itong pagtaas ngayong Enero. At sana po, isama na rin natin yung pagtaas sa 2020, pati rin po yung lahat ng buwis na dinagdag po ngayong 2018. Salamat po.
Senator JV.
Yes,
Go ahead, sir.
With regards to train, I admit that we voted for it as a support to the President's call because it will be used entirely for the infrastructure development program, which I am very supportive. But the thing that really convinced me was there were 2 safeguards at the time that we were debating on it. But to my surprise, during the BICAM, one safeguard was removed. No? Kami po ni Senator Bam ay nagulat din na yung safeguard on the when it reaches the 4% threshold that it can be suspended. But anyway, the 8 of our colleagues went to the President a few months ago and talked to him because the effects of train combined with the skyrocketing prices of crude oil, hindi naman natin in-anticipate ito when we passed the train law. But because a lot are already feeling the crunch, we talked to the President, and because we are concerned that allies, we appeal to him if the second round of excise taxes on fuel be suspended by January. To which we were so happy because he obliged and the economic managers were present. So that was the understanding back then. And to my surprise, just last week, I received on the feed that the economic managers now have recommended that the suspension will not take place anymore because the prices of crude oil is already going down. But ang sa akin lang po, pahingahin muna natin ang ating mga kababayan. Ngayon po na nakaka-adjust na dahan-dahan, huwag naman natin sakalin agad. No? Kumbaga, hayaan naman natin na makahinga muna. So, I am in favor, I would highly recommend that the suspension on the excise taxes on, especially on petroleum products, will push through in this January because this will create a domino effect, as we all know.
Thank you, sir.
Back to another yes or no question. Nabanggit ito kanina ng isa sa ating mga kandidato. Tanungin natin sila lahat. The question is, candidates, your signboards, are you in favor of granting same-sex couples legal rights and status under the current civil union bill? Yes or no? We have everyone except for Gary Alejano.
Congressman Gary Alejano.
Sarap tanungin, pero
Maybe
hindi
during
pwede
the
wala
break,
tayong oras.
we'll ask why, the lone dissenter. You're watching a CNN Philippines special presentation. Join the conversation online on our Facebook Live or on Twitter using the hashtag #TheFilipinoVote. We are speaking with 8 senatorial candidates.
We are on the final stretch of our program. We have a few more questions coming up, among them contractualization.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to a CNN Philippines special presentation. We just have a few more questions, Pia, for our senatorial aspirants.
Candidates, thank you once again for joining us here at the University Theater here in UP Diliman. Pinky?
Yes or no? We have another yes or no question. Senate President Tito Soto says the current age of criminal liability in the Philippines is too high, even for international standards. So candidates, the question is, well, the Senate President filed Senate Bill 2026, seeking to lower the age of criminal liability from 15 to 13. Ang tanong, would you vote to approve this measure? Yes or no?
Tatlong no. Gary Alejano, Bam Aquino, and Shell Diokno, yes. For Bato,
Yes.
De La Rosa, JV Ejercito,
Senator
JP
Juan
Serge,
Ponce Enrile.
and Francis Tolentino.
Lima. We're reaching our final stretch now of the program.
Our next
Our
topic.
next topic right now is contractualization. The President wants Congress to take responsibility. Congress daw dapat ang magpas ng batas to end contractualization. Big business is counseling against it. This is a question for Senator Serge Osmeña, Representative Alejano, and Attorney Diokno. What change or changes to our labor laws do you think should be passed? Senator Osmeña, please go ahead.
Well, we have to end the endo. That is not fair because yung mga tao na hinahire nila ng 5 months, hindi pwede kumuha ng extra money tungkol sa temporary lang daw sila. At parating 5-5-5 lang yan. So, after 5 months, out naman sila at saka hindi makakakuha uli ng trabaho until they apply again. So, ang hirap niyan because you're cutting short the term of office when the guy is probably good and can do the work. But ayaw lang bayaran ng husto. So, I think that we should end the endo.
Thank you, Senator Serge Osmeña. Representative Alejano, go ahead, sir.
Tingin ko, the government must walk the talk. Dapat unahin muna ng gobyerno na gawing regular yung kanyang casual at contractor employees na umaabot ng almost 800,000. Kasi bago pa natin puwersahin ng pribadong sektor, nag-ihemplo na yung gobyerno dahil napakalaki po ito, 800,000. Imagine, umaabot ng 20-30 years nagtatrabaho na casual pa rin. So tingin ko, unahin natin yan. Pangalawa, ako ay for good labor. At i-discourage natin yung tamad. Kasi ang issue dito habang pinoprotektahan natin ang mga manggagawa natin sa mga abusadong employer, we should not also forget na bigyan natin ng patas na treatment ang mga mamumuhunan sa ating bansa. Dahil kung walang investor sa ating bansa, lalong dadami ang walang trabaho. So, balance ho dapat yan. Dahil at the end of the day, it should be our economy that should grow para mabawasan yung kompetensya sa trabaho. Up to now, ay meron ho tayong 10 to 11 million na jobless. Kaya nag-aagawan talaga sa trabaho. So sa akin po, dapat tingnan din natin ang kapakanan ng mga mamumuhunan at i-balance natin ang kapakanan ng ating mga gawa.
Thank you, sir. Attorney Chell, go ahead, sir.
Matagal na ang problema itong contractualization, hindi lang sa private sector, pati na rin sa gobyerno. Naalala ko, bago pa lang ako abogado noon, may lumapit sa akin mga government employees. Ganun na nga ang problema. They are treated as casuals, as contractuals, when they have been serving the government for so long. Tama lang na tapusin na itong issue ng endo at contractualization. At hindi lang siya masama sa atin bilang sa ekonomiya, kundi sa hustisya din. Yung issue kasi ng contractualization ay there has to be a fine line drawn between legitimate outsourcing of not what are considered not core services and those that are used by companies simply to cut labor costs. And I hope that this law will address that issue as well. Pero may isa pang bagay sa ating workforce yung bagay ng gender discrimination, yung bagay ng yung nagiging problema sa ating mga kumpanya, hindi lang naman sa pribado sector, pati sa pampublikong sektor, ng malaking pagkaroon ng diskriminasyon, lalong-lalo na sa mga kababaihan at yung mga tinuturing nilang kakaiba, ay dapat din ma-address po yan ng ating legislation.
All right, thank you, sir. Maraming salamat. Pia,
Right, finally.
this is our last question.
Final last question.
And this last question is obviously for all senatorial aspirants. We're going to start with Senator JV because you're a little bit in the middle. Diyan po tayo mag-uumpisa. To your right, pagkatapos si Attorney Chel, etc. Tapos pagkatapos ni Congressman Gary, to your left, si Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, to Secretary Francis Tolentino. So,
yeah. But before we do that, we're going to go to a very short break, our final commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to CNN Philippine Special Presentation, Senatorial Forum. This is the very last question.
Oh, yung
for all
sinabi natin
candidates.
kanina, we start with Senator JV.
Yes, si Senator JV Ejercito muna. And the question is, you have 1 minute and 30 sorry, oh my goodness, 1 minute and 30 seconds each. Pero you can choose not to use your entire time allotment. The question is, what is the first bill you will author if elected as senator? Senator JV Ejercito, kayo po muna.
Well, I would like to be consistent and I would like to push for, again, my advocacy on infrastructure development and transport modernization. I filed a bill for the emergency powers to address the transportation crisis in the 16th Congress, and I would file again, and in the 17th Congress, I would file again once I have the chance to be elected. And I would like to pursue this because, again, we cannot wait any longer. We are 30 years behind in terms of infrastructure development. So for us to be able to stimulate economic growth, for us to reach our full economic potential, we really have to do it now. We have to push for modernization of the transport and push for the infrastructure development.
Attorney Chel?
Kailangan maamendahan natin yung ating Witness Protection Act. Maraming nagmamalakas loob na humarap, mag-expose ng mga bilyon-bilyon ng korupsyon. Pumapasok sila sa Witness Protection Program dahil nanganganib ang buhay nila. Pero hindi naman sila nakakapagtestigo. They spend days, months, and years in the Witness Protection Program. They're given safe houses, they're given financial assistance, security, but it's like they're the ones in jail, while those who commit the crimes, those who are guilty of the corruption, are out there free. And then what happens is, after years and years of their staying there inside the safe house, they just give up and never testify. What we need is an amendment to the Witness Protection Act that requires that upon admission into the program, the witness will be allowed to testify within a period of 6 months. Everyone he will incriminate or she will incriminate will be allowed to have a lawyer during that testimony, and that testimony will now form part of the trial, even if the trial takes place 5 or 10 years later. We can immediately give that witness a new identity, we can immediately relocate them, and their job is done. They have exposed the corruption and we have better accountability in our country. Ang problema kasi sobrang laganap ang corruption sa ating bayan.
General Bato de la Rosa.
Ang pinakaunang bill na ipapasa ko, sinabi ko na kanina, yung restoration sa death penalty doon sa mga drug traffickers. Dahil para magkakaroon tayo ng deterrence, kasi kung wala yung batas na yan, babahain pa rin tayo ng shabu dito sa Pilipinas sa mga tao niyan. When you come to the crossroads on choosing whose life are you going to save, itong buhay ba ng thousands of Filipino na kabataan o itong buhay na itong isang Chinese drug lord na sumisira sa kabuhayan nito mga libo-libong mga kabataan. Pumili ka. Pumili ka kung kaninong buhay isisave mo. Ako talaga, isisave ko itong kabataan at itong drug lord ay talagang finish na yan. Di ba? Yun lang sa akin. Yun lang sa akin.
Senator Bam Aquino. Senator Bam, please go ahead. Please, audience. Audience, please. Senator Bam,
Opo.
go ahead.
In the 17th Congress, napasa po yung libreng kolehiyo. Yun po, una pa lang sa napakaraming kailangan na reforma sa edukasyon. Alam po yan ng mga estudyante, alam po yan ng mga teacher, alam po yan ng mga SUC heads, alam po yan ng CHED. No? Kanina si Chairman Popoy nandyan. Yung libreng kolehiyo po, si Kong Gary voted for that, Senator JV voted for that also. Nagkaisa ho kami upang itulak po yung libreng kolehiyo sa ating bayan. Pero yan po, una pa lang. Marami pang kailangang reforma ang kailangan gawin. Yung pagpapaganda ng ating state universities and colleges, yung sapat na tulong sa pribadong universidad at kolehiyo, yung tulong sa mga guro. And most importantly, ito po yung gagawin ho nating pet bill for the 18th Congress kung pagpalain po tayo, yung pagsigurado na yung bawat graduate natin, both at the grade 12 and at the 4th year level, mas madali po yung proseso ng paghahanap po ng trabaho. With the Free College Act, doon po sa libreng kolehiyo, mas madali na po makagraduate. Yung makapasok ng freshman year, mas malaki na po yung chance na makagraduate ng senior year. Yung next challenge po natin dito, masigurado po natin na 3rd year or 4th year pa lang, or grade 11 or grade 12 pa lang, alam na kung saan papasok. Ibig sabihin yan, yung jobs mismatch, mas liliit, yung academic industry linkage, mas magiging maganda, magkakaroon po ng mga trabaho centers, yung ating K-12, our grade 12, and our 4th year college students. And that process, nakapag-aral ka, nakakuha ka ng trabaho, natupad yung mga pangarap mo, meron kang regular na trabaho, yun po dapat mas madali para sa ating mga kabataan.
Congressman Gary Alejano.
Well, ang una kong i-propose na ipasa ang pag-create ng dedicated Department of Maritime and Oceanic Affairs. Bakit? Dahil tayo ay isa sa pinakamahabang coastline sa buong mundo, 36,000 kilometers. Ang ating katubigan ay around 5 to 6 times o 6 to 7 times bigger than our land. Kailangan natin magkaroon ng harmonized policies sa ating mga karagatan, pating mga ahensya ng gobyerno na nag-ooperate sa ating maritime domain, kailangan magkaroon ng harmonized policy because it will entail strategy sa ating katubigan. We are an archipelagic nation, a maritime nation, dahil pagkain din po ito, hindi natin nagagamit ang resources mula sa karagatan, pati na yung mga strategic mineral resources, gas and oil, and even deuterium. No? Pati na rin yung pag-exploit ng Benham Rice, pati yung strategiya natin sa West Philippine Sea, lahat makukover lahat yan pag mayroon tayong Department of Maritime and Oceanic Affairs. Because right now, kanya-kanya ho tayo at pinababayaan natin ang ating karagatan. At yun nga, nakakalungkot na tayo, isang maritime nation, nag-aangkat pa tayo ng galunggong. Ang nakakalungkot pa, sa China pa natin aangkatin ng galunggong na ito. So hindi po dapat, ano? Kaya nga, ang sa akin, para maging matibay ho tayo, masasarha ang ating mga porous borders, kasama yung sa pag-modernize ating Coast Guard, ating Philippine Navy. Yung ating karagatan ay dapat nating alagaan.
Thank you so much, Congressman Alejano. Let's go next to... Okay, next is Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, sir.
Simple lang ako eh. Pag ako ay sinuwerte na makabalik sa Senado, unang gagawin ko, re-revisahin ko lahat yung mga ipinataw nila ng mga buwis sa taong bayan. Pangalawa, tatanungin ko kung bakit napakabagal ng ating system of communication sa bansa. Doon sa aking area, hindi ako makatawag eh. Gagalaw lang ako, napuputol. Pangatlo, bakit ang mga tao na binibigyan ng mga pabahay ng gobyerno ay maraming reklamo, maraming problema, hindi kompleto ang kanilang mga titulo, ang kanilang mga papeles, at na nahihirapan sila na isolve yung kanilang mga problema. Ay malilit na tao yan eh. At pang-apat, bakit hindi malakas ang daloy ng investment, foreign investment sa atin? Ano bang balakid niyan? At pang-lima, bakit napakabagal ng mga papeles sa gobyerno?
Thank you so much, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Now let's go to Senator Serge Osmeña.
You're asking me which bills will I propose?
What's the first bill you'll offer?
Well, the first bill I offer is the one I spoke about earlier, the rice. Now, the second bill has to do with the coconut. Our coconuts have already collapsed from 40 pesos per kilo to about 20 pesos per kilo. That's because there's low demand. That's because in the world market, we've been overtaken by palm oil. We have to redo the coconut industry here because our trees are senior citizens trees. They're 75 to 100 years old. So mababa na yung kita nila. So we have to replant. But that 100 billion pesos that's in the coconut fund, that's supposed to be spent over 10 or 20 years. No, we have to spend that in 5 years so that we can replant the coconut. The third bill I'm going to propose is the TESDA. Our labor force does not even fit our need for labor. For example, dito lang, in the very basic, the construction industry does not have enough people. That's because they don't know how to. Am I finished? Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Well,
5 seconds.
They don't know carpentry, they don't know. So we've got to get TESDA heavily involved, about 15 to 20 billion pesos a year, to help these young kids go into that.
Thank you, sir. Secretary Francis Tolentino, last.
Tatlo po, sa karanasan ko po sa mga kalamidad, sa kunaan, nakikita ko po kagaya nung sa Marawi kanina, kailangan natin yung mabilis na pagbangon ng ating mga komunidad. We need to establish that Philippine Reconstruction Agency, an agency solid, dedicated to the rehabilitation of a community affected by a natural or man-made calamity. Asa po yun. Pangalawa po, kagaya ng sinabi ni Senator Serge, we need to support our farmers. Ang nakikita ko po rito, we have to have an agricultural export processing zone. I-process na po natin yung ating mga fish products, yung tuna, yung ating pong coconut products, yung copra, at maging yung bigas. So, kailangan pong pang-export quality po yun. Hindi po yung sa EPSA lang na manufacturing. Kailangan may agricultural component. At pangatlo po, kanina po ako umiinom ng tubig dito. By 2025, we will have a water crisis shortage. 9 million Filipinos do not have access to potable, safe drinking water in their households. Kailangan po magkaroon tayo ng isang bukod na kagawaran, Department of Water Resources Management. Pagsamasamahin na po yung trabaho ng LUA, Natural Waters Resources Board, para mga Pilipino, yung mga bata hindi magkaroon ng sakit, diarrhea, typhoid fever, at marami pang iba.
Secretary Francis Tolentino, maraming salamat po sa inyo. And of course, we'd like to thank everyone. That concludes today's Senatorial Forum.
And we're going to call our guests
Isa-isa ho, sana.
one by one.
Para to give recognition to each senator who joined us this evening na po ata. So Pia, let's start with
Congressman Gary Alhana, sir.
Please stand up, sir.
Dito po.
Parang yung opening lang.
Senator Bam Aquino. General Bato de la Rosa. Attorney Chel Diokno.
Senator J.V. Ejercito. Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Senator Serge Osmeña. And of course, Secretary Francis Tolentino. Gentlemen, maraming salamat po sa inyo.
I'm Pia Ontiveros.
And I'm Pinky Webb.
Thank you for joining us. We look forward to our next senatorial forum or even perhaps a debate once the campaign season begins in February. Parang kampanya na ang UP Theater. This has been a CNN Philippines special presentation, the Filipino Votes Senatorial Forum. Thank you, everyone. Good night.